There's very few experiences in a movie theater that really stick with you, besides the ones that involve sitting in the back row with a girl who didn't quite get to watch the movie but made sure you really enjoyed watching it. Some of the most unforgettable moments were seeing the Avengers movies on the big screen, whether it was their first team up in New York or their last stand against Thanos. With Avengers 5 looming, you would think fans are getting excited to have another iconic night at the movies, but the sad fact is that couldn't be further from the truth.
Uh-oh, I smell trouble.
There's been a lot of news surrounding the upcoming Avengers movies, more specifically Avengers 5. It's supposedly releasing on May 1st, 2026. Yeah, right. And according to Benedict Cumberbatch, they're going to start filming next year. So that means at the very least, we know Doctor Strange is going to be back in action. But what do we know other than that? Absolutely nothing. Everything we've heard about this movie is either a rumor or a leak. And considering the whole Jonathan Majors disaster, we don't even have a clue who the villain is. If you put a couple of the rumors and leaks together, you can get somewhat of an idea as to what fans should expect. The issue is there's still a lot of conflicting news out there. For example, if you take all three of these reports, you can come to the conclusion that Avengers 5 is being turned into a World War Hulk type of movie with Doctor Strange leading the charge. But even within these articles, one says we're going to have a small team, and the other says we'll have over 60 characters.
How does that even make sense?
Now, it's not a secret that all of their agenda pushing and messaging has ruined what used to be a global phenomenon, but there's arguably a much bigger problem that's contributing to Marvel's failure. From the moment we saw Thanos' cameo during the post-credit scene of the first Avengers movie, pretty much all the fans knew what Marvel was setting up. By the time they first mentioned the Infinity Stones in Thor: The Dark World, we already knew what was going on, and it led to a huge amount of buildup and excitement. Over the course of 10 years, we got high-quality superhero movies, with a few exceptions, that kept building on this imminent threat to the universe. We saw the Avengers fight off Thanos' first invasion at the hands of Loki. Then during Age of Ultron, Thor told them all what they were dealing with when it came to the Infinity Stones. Civil War saw the team fracture, leaving them weak and vulnerable for Thanos to come along and collect the rest of the Infinity Stones, which led to their loss at the end of Infinity War. Now stick with me here because I'm going somewhere with this. All of that led up to a moment on screen the likes of which we had never seen before and will never see again. Practically every MCU hero on screen fighting off Thanos' army. A villain who had secretly been pulling a lot of their strings for 10 years finally got taken down as fans got to see some insane moments on screen that to this day are still hard to believe are real. Whether it was Cap wielding Mjolnir while finally saying the iconic Avengers Assemble line that they had been teasing for a while, or Iron Man wielding the Infinity Stones, it all felt earned because these were payoffs to things they had been setting up for 10 years.
Damn!
That is the exact problem I mentioned earlier. There is no setup anymore, so there's nothing to pay off. Throwing a bunch of characters from random disconnected shows and movies on screen together isn't going to give fans that feeling they had during Endgame. That's the feeling that led to even the casual fans lining up in advance and multiple viewings by the hardcore ones, all culminating in a crazy, unbelievable box office run.
That's incredible. It's incredible!
In 2012, Avengers introduced the villain we'd see 6 to 7 years later, and they even built on him a bit in the first Guardians movie. They had a plan, and you felt that plan was in motion as you watched the movies. We're 2 years away from the next Avengers movie, and the closest thing they had to a villain went a little too far down the method acting rabbit hole to prepare for his villainous role.
A hideously deformed monster.
Even if Majors didn't have his issue, their original plan just sucked. We've seen all the movies and shows they released while they were trying to set him up, and the fact is they were all disjointed and had nothing to do with each other. One didn't build off the other, and honestly most of them could have taken place in an alternate universe and it wouldn't have made a difference. There were setups that turned into loose ends that we'll never see get paid off since the movie or show lost hundreds of millions of dollars. So where does that leave Marvel now? Like I've said, we've got more rumors and leaks by this point than original Avengers who haven't been turned into a joke. Marvel knows what they're going to do for the next Avengers movie, but the fan excitement just isn't there. Nobody knows what's going on, and due to the lack of a competent team of creatives with a central plan and an interconnected narrative, they haven't kept fans invested enough to even want to care.